Hello everyone. I wanted to post a video regarding the ioptron cube. It's a telescope mount that you see there. I'm sure you're familiar with it. If you're not, I hope that my knowledge of the cube passed on to you will help you out if you're curious. I just wanted to mention that the tripod is, I believe, underrated. It should have a much sturdier tripod. The supplied tripod does work, but it's not as solid as far as dampening time once you touch the scope or any scope that you have mounted on the cube. It takes about 3 to 4 seconds to dampen down, and that's inherent with the supplied tripod. It does work. I mean, if you don't mind the slight delay in dampening, it works. But I would recommend upgrading to at least a 1-inch steel type tripod that you can get on eBay. Anyway, I wanted to demonstrate the GPS system on the cube. When I first got it, it was a Rubik's Cube. To me it was. Maybe it's just my brain, I guess. I scratched my head a little bit and I couldn't figure out how the world the GPS, how do you turn this on, how do you turn that on? Even though I read the manual, downloaded PDF. But you know what? It's me, folks. When you turn it on, it'll automatically, if it's supplied with GPS, it will initiate the GPS system, and it will start searching automatically for the GPS satellites. Now I'm on the 3rd floor of a 3-story apartment, so the the GPS has a little bit of a interference. I noticed that the outside it takes about 20-30 seconds. Inside it could take about a minute. So I'll tell you about a few little things about what I did to improve the mount. Now, first of all, the hand controller, this window, is pretty nice. It's not bad at all. The lettering is very easily readable. The window's bigger. They boast about it being one of the largest displays in hand controllers compared to others. I don't know. All I know is it's there, I can read it, and it works. So anyway, I'll turn it on, and like I said, I'm in the 3rd floor, very top floor on the very end. So let's see what we can do about getting this thing going. Now, let's see. Before I turn it on, the initial setup, what I've added here on top of the GPS housing, and I do apologize for the poor quality of the video. This is being shot off my cell. So anyway, I went down to Home Depot, good old Home Depot, and paid I think it was $2.89 for this bubble level, and I super glued it on top of the GPS housing. And trust me, believe me, it works much better than the built-in bubble level here. Because as you can see, well, I don't know if you can, but I've got a level in the bubble on the top, but down here it's off. So I guess that's the way they built it. The flatness of the bottom of the stock bubble is not parallel to the rest of the housing. So anyway, I think that's just a minor issue, even though it's considered a major thing to have this whole thing perfectly level. So I mean, a simple addition to this saves a lot of time, a lot of heartache, and it works fine. So let's fire this thing up. you got two ports here. You can plug the hand controller into either one of these. You got a 12-volt socket here for external power. The battery housing is on the other side here. Takes 8 AA's. I recommend high capacity rechargeable batteries or non-rechargeable alkaline batteries like Energizer or Duracell. So once you turn it on, the hand controller, it's coming much brighter out on the camera. It's more washed out, but it's like a very nice pleasing red color. Whoops, let me fire it back on. And you'll notice in the, I don't know if you can see it, but the, ooh, it's hard to see. Well, in the, hold on. Okay. You'll see here in this corner, upper right hand corner, G-ON, G-on. That means it's seeking the GPS satellites. Okay, it's currently in the parked position, which is where it should be when it's requiring these satellites. The date was wrong when I first turned it on. Now it's already acquired the GPS. G-OK is 7/27/50. Yeah, there's the month, day, and year, and the current time. So it's locked on to the satellite. Another thing about plus for this bubble level is the hand controller does have a built-in flashlight. Okay, on, off, on. Simple matter of turning it on and off. It's great. It won't destroy your night vision, being that it's red. And right where the hand controller where it slides into the cradle, it's perfect because the flashlight portion of the hand controller shines exactly right on to the bubble level. So you can do this in total darkness and not destroy your night vision. So that's another plus. The tube itself, this, what I'm showing you now is this mount has an arrow with an S right down there. Okay, this has to be pointing perfectly south. So what you do is you aim the mount south, and after you've moved it around to get to the south, double check and make sure you're level here. And what I did was I put a piece of steel, a little flat steel piece, bar, and put another bubble level here in the center and leveled the tube that way. So now I know that for the parked home position, the tube is exactly 90 degrees, okay, which is straight up. Straight up. Okay. Now, the once the GPS is acquired like that, you can hit the back button, or I believe menu actually, then go to select and slew, and it'll give you planets, sun, and moon. Go down to the second one, deep sky objects, comets, asteroids, stars, user area and deck. So it's quite a controller. Now I have a Bosch & Lomb Criterion 4000. Don't laugh. I've heard a lot of horror stories. I used to have an 8-inch Bosch & Lomb. I didn't have problems with it. I didn't have pinched optics. Certainly on this one, I don't have that either. I guess I lucked out twice, because this scope actually is very, very good. It's a 4-inch Schmitz, and I bought the cube used off eBay. It came with the stock ioptron 4-inch reflector, which was good for what it was. But I've had this tube for quite a while, and I decided, well, you know, for sake of being compact, same aperture, I would rather have this on here. That's another thing about the cube is all you need is a dovetail. You can't exceed 10 pounds though. That's the load rating. I think it's 10 pounds. Because after that, you know, whoo, you're going to fly off to the right here. Now on their super cube, I think that's what it's called, they've got a counterweight system that protrudes from here, but I really don't know much about that. All I know is what I've got set up works fine. And my carpet looks like a hell, but no, that's the way the lighting is. I just noticed that. Jeez. No, that's a nice brand new carpet here. Anyway, back to the scope. So, what we want to do is, we'll go to Venus. Now remember, we're indoors, okay? And just to give you an idea of the sound. Nice and smooth. And I do not, repeat, I do not have backlash of any kind in both axes. This ioptron cube is snug, very tight in both axes. I saw another video of another gentleman. I saw it where he had monumental backlash, and it was terrible looking. I thought, geez, you know, maybe there must be a quick fix for that. I think he got a defective mount, because ioptron would not manufacture one after the other like that. At least I haven't heard of that. So maybe he should send it back, because this mount is really, really good. Another thing is, now that we've gone to Venus, I want to show you one additional step. You don't have to do it, but I would recommend it. Once you are at your target, like say Venus right now, right? And it is within your field of view. I'm using a 30mm eyepiece, okay? So what you want to do is you go back 1, 2, 3 times and go down to the third item, which is sync to target. So we go down sync to target, enter, and it's going to show you use arrow keys to center the object in the telescope, then press enter. Okay, at the current slew speed of 2 times, which is fine because you don't want to speed it up, because Venus in my case would dart off out of my field of view in no time. You want to keep the slew speed slow, okay? And let's say Venus is, well, the GPS located Venus, it put it in my scope, but it's a little bit off to the side. So I'll have to move it back this way. You use the arrow keys to center it. I have to go this way a little bit. Whoops, I went too far. Let me go back this way. Okay, now it's centered in the eyepiece. Hit enter. Okay, now the GPS unit is accurate, but even more so now that you fine-tuned it to sync to target, because now it's synced actually to the uniqueness of your scope, believe it or not. I can't explain that too well, I'm sorry. It's just that it's hard to translate for me what it means. Sync to target factors in the size of the scope, exactly where you are, which you would think GPS would be able to do, and it does, but well, anyway, all I know is once you sync to target, your accuracy is really good with this mount. I have no complaints on the tracking or on the goto after doing the sync. Okay, so you hit the back button to go to another object. Now Jupiter at this time is not very far away, so we'll go to Jupiter. Another thing about this mount, the other fellow on YouTube showed how to disassemble it and he mentioned the grease from the factory, and that got my attention right away. I figured, you know what, I don't want to see these Teflon gears or nylon gears or whatever being chopped away like that without enough grease. So I went out and bought some white lithium grease. White lithium grease. And I applied a little bit to all the gears. Once you take it off, the cover off here, I won't go into the disassembly right now, but once you disassemble it, you put a little bit of grease in there, white lithium grease. You don't want to put too much because it'll go flying around. And just, dab it here and there on the gears. Same on the bottom too. Put it back together, and it seems to run a lot quieter. I don't know if it's my imagination, but I've got it pretty good here. In general, before I applied the grease, this mount is much quieter than I think in some of the other go-to scopes out there on the market. I think that the reason has a lot to do with this metal housing. This is actually steel. Okay, this is plastic. The other side is plastic. This is the battery. Oh no, the other side is the battery door. But the other side, the battery door here, and this front cover is plastic. Okay, it's pretty good. And then this is all metal. This is all metal, and this is all metal down here. So I think it has a lot to do with the way the gears system is attached to the steel. The steel dampens the sound, so I'm pretty sure that's why it runs a little quieter than a lot of other go-to scopes. You might differ on that. Maybe your ear will hear something different than mine does. One last thing I would have to mention is balancing the tube. That's an issue, but it's a simple fix. I still think the cube is worth getting, because all you need to do, because you're going to have an imbalance. Okay, I have tail weight down here on the end. Now if I were to put it straight across this way, in other words, have the scope running completely straight this way, and I unlock it on the other side, my whole tube will drop down. So that's not good. So what I ended up doing was I used as much as I could of the dovetail to the very end to counter some of this, get rid of some of this heavy weight on one side. I still have imbalance, so I'm planning to add some type of weight system up here. Nice weight system. I don't want to hang a big brick on the end. That wouldn't look pretty. They'll say, which tube are you working with, the red one or the blue and white one? So anyway, that's about it, folks. I think for the price, I think they're going like $256 just for the mount, and I think it's $289 with an 80mm refractor attached to it. For what I understand, the 80mm refractor, for what it is, performs pretty good. There might be a little quirks on the focuser or whatever have you, being a plastic on the end, but I'm just saying that the mount is worth having. Instead of a double fork where you're restricted to the diameter, okay, you're somewhat limited, not necessarily by diameter, of course, but by weight. See, because everything is hanging off this side. Now this scope, no problem. I just need to counter the other heavy side right up here, and the tube will be perfectly balanced. I've personally used this mount to track Venus during the day. It stayed in my scope. Let's see, I had it a 20mm eyepiece, I think, or no, 18mm eyepiece. It's tracked it for about a good maybe 25 or 30 minutes till you notice there was a little drift. But I don't think anyone's going to keep their eyeball on a eyepiece for 25 minutes and not even have a Coke or beer or whatever. So what I'm saying is it's good enough for me. Oh, that's just a cap there for my red dot finder. So that's about it. I hope this helped you out a little bit in case you were curious about this type of design as far as a tracking mount. And of course, like I said, you know, the GPS works great indoors. The whoops, where am I going here? Whoops, excuse me. Oh, there we are. I'm not used to filming with the phone. The the most important thing, I think, is to add on this bubble level. Absolutely critical. This mount has to be perfectly level and pointing south. Okay? Once you do those two steps, the third one is to make sure that your tube, your scope, is exactly pointing up 90 degrees. You can do that by simply using a level at the end of the tube up on top somewhere with a steel bar or whatever, or maybe you can fit a circular level. But as long as you have a level that will show you more or less where the tube is this way, 90 degrees, after that, you let it find the GPS signal and you start going to your target, it'll be in the finder. That's the way it's been for me. So I'm very impressed with this mount. I really like it. The nylon gears, they're thick, they're not like thin. I wish I'd taken a video of when I did disassemble it to lube those gears, but they're pretty thick, and I think with a little added lubrication it should last for quite a while. Okay, thanks for watching, and I hope this helps anybody out. Bye.